and welcome back to my channel for another video. And today I will be sharing with you guys 9 spreads dedicated to chronic illness, chronic health issues, or just managing your health in general. Here are some of the supplies that I will be using. I use my Faber Castel and my micro eye pens for all of the black lining, and then my Tombow dual brush markers for the colors. And if you are interested in any of the supplies that I will be using, I will link everything in the description box down below, as well as my affiliate code to get my notebooks, which are the Dingbat notebooks, for 10% off. Before we go any further, let me tell you about my digital bullet journal and planner shop. I make all of my spreads in digital versions, so you can just download them and start using them and get the benefits of bullet journaling without actually spending time to make them. And I made a chronic illness planner just like the spreads that are going to be in this video. So if you are interested in any of those for yourself, then you can head to my shop and get one for yourself. I have everything from monthly spreads, yearly spreads, as well as a bunch of trackers to keep track of every symptom possible, doctor's appointment, and everything you might need from someone with a chronic illness to someone else. So I hope you will find what you need, and I will let you with the rest of this video. The first spread that I am making is a yearly pain tracker. So the way it works is just to have 12 columns. Each is 1 square wide, and then going down there's 31 squares for the 31 days that are in a month. So like that, each month, for each day of the month, you can fill out any pain levels, or there's 2 ways to use it. Either you have one specific pain and you can do the 1 through 10 level of pain for each day. For example, if you have chronic back pain or anything like that, or to use it more like where you have the pain for each day. So for example, in the key you can have back, head, knee, any of those, and see which pain is the most frequent. And also you can combine both, but I feel like this could be a little messy to do, but you could use a color for the pain that it is, so where it is, and then a number for the intensity of the pain. So yeah, that's a couple of ways that I would say to use this, but obviously it is made to fit your needs. At the very end of the page on the left side, I have a column for the numbers of the day. At the top, I have 3 squares to put the 3 first letters of each day. So yeah, just a really simple spread that can be done in a few minutes. That is mostly what I did for this. All those spreads is really simple, minimal design that can be done by anyone in a minimum amount of time. This next spread is a symptoms tracker, which is made for a monthly basis. So you would use one for each month, and it is a sideways layout. So the whole height of the page is used, and for the first 31st from the top are used to number the days. So that's the part that is going to be filled out, and then the 7 left at the bottom are used to add the what you want to track and just more information. So for example, which symptoms, and at the top I left a section blank. You could use it to add more symptoms. I personally added a sleep tracker since sleep can affect different symptoms, so I thought to combine it would help a lot to have everything at the same time. It is also a great way to save some time because it is less time consuming to make one tracker than to make multiple. So this is just a little ways. You can add the numbers of hours going up and then just do a line to where it is. And then we are already on to the next one, which is the medication tracker. I'm sorry if those go like super fast, but I have to fit a lot of things in not a lot of time because this video would be like an hour long if I really had everything at the right speed. But anyway, so we are onto the medication tracker, and this one has a habit tracker layout. So it is a huge box, which is 8 on the side, so the larger side is 8, and then 16 for the little squares. So what I'm doing now is just to draw all the squares on that side, so each square is completely outlined. And then you can do it as tall as you need, knowing that you need 2 squares per medication to do this, because there's 16 squares times 2 to have a day for each day of the month. And then on the left side you can add the medication, and then you color it in for each day that you took that medication. And there's obviously like a ton of space for a ton of medication. And the great way about this one is that you can basically have as many as you need for the numbers of medication that you have, or even do 2 pages if you have like a huge numbers of medication. So it is very practical. Just to show it a little bit better, I added the numbers in the first row. You could do that or just do by memory, but yeah, that was the medication tracker. Moving on to our next spread, and this one is a weekly journaling spread, and basically it is used as a log for symptoms, experiences, anything you think is helpful to write on a daily basis. So any thoughts, symptoms, anything that you want, you can log on here and have that for every week. And so like that you can look back on any specific day and see what happened. If for example you did a specific activity, like if you went on a walk and 2 days later your symptoms were worse, or anything really that you can think of. So I did left 1 square on each side, and the rest is the width of that. You can make it as big or as small as you want. And then each day is 4 squares wide, and there's 8 of them, so it is just stacked. And the 8th one is just for anything important, so if you have really something extremely important. And I just have all at the top the title and a date, so you can add which week it is, or if you want to add in the sections in the 5 squares at the start to add the date, you could do that as well. I just added the name of the days. And I am talking too much because we are already onto the medication log. So this is to log all of the medication that you use or that you used in the past. You know that doctors usually ask what medication are you taking, and this is the reason I made this. So there's 4 columns, and there's the first one, which is 9 squares wide for the name. You could also add for what it is, and it is the whole width of the page, just so you know. And then it is as tall as you want it to be. The second column is 5 squares wide, and it is for the start date, so when did you start that medication. The third one is 6 squares wide, and it is for the dosage. And then the last one is 8 squares for the frequency. So that's for the medication tracker. And now we have the allergy list. So I personally have a few allergies, and I thought that it might be useful for anyone, specifically for medication allergies, when you go into hospital or anything. Just to keep this in your bag on a separate sheet of paper can just be useful for anyone for any emergency situation, basically. It is the same layout as I did in the previous one, just the box as wide as the page, as tall as you need. The first column is 7 squares, and it is for the allergies, so for what you are allergic to. The second one is 8 squares wide for the symptoms, so if it's anaphylactic, if it's just hives or anything. The third one is 7 squares for if you have a specific medication that you take for that allergy. And then the last one is just for any notes, and this one is 6 squares wide. And we are moving on to the doctor's information. So if you're anything like me, you probably have multiple doctors, or even past doctors that you don't see, but usually any hospital will have ask like where you went, which are the doctors that you saw. So this is the perfect way to keep all of them at the same time. So I have a first column which is 5 squares wide for the date. So you can add that for whatever you want, when you start seeing them, when you ended, anything you want. The second column is 7 squares for the name of the doctor. The third column is 9 squares wide for any phone numbers or emails. And then the last column is 7 squares for the place of work. So where did you go to see that doctor? Second to last spread is a list of diagnoses for every single thing you have been diagnosed with, whether it be just like infections that you had in the past, or anything that you think is useful to have as a record. You never know if you will need that, so I think it's really useful to have just in case, or just for memory purposes if you have a lot of things. So the first column is 5 squares, and it is for the date, so when you were diagnosed, or the date where you got that diagnosis to not be relevant anymore, so if you were undiagnosed. The next one is 12 squares wide for the name of the diagnosis, and then I have a 8 squares wide for any notes, so you could add which doctors did it, which test proved it, anything that you think might be relevant. Spread is one that I thought of because I think it's a very unique thing, and it is a make your own scale pain. So I always have been asked to describe my pain, but every pain is different compared to other things, and what I think might be a 1 might be a 10 for someone else. So I think it's really helpful to have that to share with medical professionals what you think is a level of pain. Maybe certain symptoms are harder to control than others. I don't know. I just had that idea and I thought I would share it in case it will be helpful for anyone. So the first column is to make categories, for example, at which level of pain you can't function anymore, or the group them by severity. For example, like 1 through 3 is like totally manageable, and then 4 to 6 is limiting, and then 7 through 8 is more limiting, or anything like that. I don't know how to explain it really. And then there's a full space for any description on the other side of the pain levels. But yeah, I hope it's helpful. This is already the end of this video, so I hope you enjoyed and that it was useful. This is just the last flip through. Don't forget to follow me on all of my other socials. They are in the description. I post daily on there, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!